At which point I texted you and said, "Bloody hell, Greg Taylor's play on Tuesday night." But the thing that Greg Taylor put more crosses into the box in one half than Andrew Robertson did in 2 games plus extra time. I think the big issue with Robertson just doesn't. He's not a captain for me. He's not a captain. I would severely be looking at making Super John McGinn the Scotland captain. He's the heart of that team. He everything good that we do comes from him. And if you look, I remember when I was watching the boys come out for the second half against Israel, he is probably the least athletic looking, he's got this big massive arse that he just sticks in the way of people and nobody can get around him, and he just makes an absolute nuisance of himself. And I thought he played well in all 3 of the games. And I think it's sorry, go on.
Oh no, I was going to say the kind of goal, obviously he didn't create many chances, but Lyndon Dykes and Ryan Fraser, especially the goal against Slovakia. Yeah. It was Fraser got in a bit of space, played it to, it was O'Donnell, wasn't it? Overlapping on the right.
O'Donnell,
yeah. Oh, so he kind of pulled it back, and then bit of movement from Dykes, and he found space and slotted it in, and it was like a brilliant No, it wasn't a brilliant goal, but it was just.
The thing is, that to me, right, is how easy football. I mean, people talk and overcomplicate football a lot, right? Get it out wide, put it into the box, you've got a chance to score. It is a simple game to play, and we did that once against Slovakia and scored. And I think so. As coming out of the last international break, right, I said the only plus point for us was Lyndon Dykes. Right? The only plus point for us was Lyndon Dykes. So if I was to review the last 3 games, I think that I have got many, many more. So I would look at Lyndon Dykes again. I thought he's going to miss the Slovakia game, in Slovakia, but he's going to be and I'm so happy to hear that Jed agrees with me on this.
He is a big Lyndon Dykes fan. He wanted me to buy him a QPR t-shirt when he moved down, but I refused.
Oh, excellent. So Lyndon Dykes was another plus point. I think that we can consign Ollie McBurney to the history books now. And I think as much as I would like to have seen Lawrence Shanklin play more with him, I think we've really hit on something with Ryan Fraser. I think once Ryan Fraser is up, plays more for Newcastle. And I think it's a lot of the times like managers look on international breaks as a bit of a kind of hindrance. I think Steve Bruce would have been thrilled to see Fraser get so much game time and getting him up to sort of match fitness. I thought he played really, really well, especially against the Czech Republic. I thought he took a lot of confidence from the Slovakia game. McGinn was just phenomenal. But the three kind of real heroic performances for me was Declan Gallagher. Now, I think I don't think he'll be at Motherwell very long. I think he did not look out of place in international football. I think particularly against Slovakia and Czech Republic, I think he did very, very well. He certainly didn't let us down. But then Stephen O'Donnell, right, who I have been a fan of when he played at Kilmarnock. People slaughtered him when he played his first couple of caps for Scotland, but that was against Belgium and Russia, right? And he's a Kilmarnock player, right? How is he going to compete with the best teams in the world? But I think he was a bit shaky against Israel, but by the time it got to the sort of the Czech game, he just grew and grew and grew, and he's just took a lot of confidence from that. But the one person is 33-year-old Andrew Considine. So Scott McKenna of Aberdeen gets a lot of talk about him, and he's just had a big money move to Nottingham Forest and stuff like that. But McKenna is a bomb scare waiting to happen. He's our Harry Maguire. Whereas I thought Considine he was the better part of that partnership at Aberdeen, and I thought he did fantastically well to come in, his first caps in such crucial games. And when you see someone, I remember when Ricky Lambert got his caps for England a few years ago and stuff. It was that kind of Roy of the Rovers style story, and I thought he did really, really well. And before we move off behalf of Scotland, I just do want to mention David Marshall. I'm so chuffed that not only did he save that penalty, but he's kept 3 clean sheets on the spin now. Yeah. And, you know, he's a guy he's turned up for Scotland for years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, he was always behind, like Alan McGregor, and he never really got his chance. He was the guy who played like the games after we were put out, you know.
Yeah.
And now he is the main man. He's just, and there was talk of McLaughlin getting in for the Nations League games, and I'm so glad that Steve Clark stuck with him, because he's just been an absolute star for us. And you know, we lost those games heavily to Belgium and Russia, but if it wasn't for Marshall, we'd have lost them even worse, you know.
Yeah.
But so I'm over the moon, mate. You know, and as I say, as a Scotland fan, you don't get that very often. And you know, a lot has been made of the fact that we're now 8 games undefeated. And yes, you know, we're not competing with Germany and Belgium and all these, but that's not where we are. You know, we are like a tier 2 side. You know, and what we need to get to is we need to get to be one of the better tier 2 sides, which we are not at the moment. But you know, if we can get a result against Serbia, you know, then I think we need 3 points out of our last 2 games to win this group.
I think so. Yeah,
which is doable, because Slovakia are there for the taking. Man, like they were 2-0 up at home against Israel and want to lose 3-2, which either says that we've got a really good chance in Slovakia, or it says that 1-1 draw at Hampden with Israel wasn't such a bad result after all. But yeah, so I think I've probably whittled on enough about Scotland, but I just think, you know, 8 games undefeated, that's 3 clean sheets in a row, semi-fit, like winning a final. We've got a chat 90 minutes away from it. Yeah. Well, I say 90 minutes away, but you know it's going to be 120 minutes in a penalty shootout away from Euro 2021, you know. And to be honest, that game at Wembley against England, man, because that's what I want to see, man. That's what I want to see. But yeah, so that's a very happy Dave. I think would be the way.
It was 3 very good results. And I think I just want to say, like Considine, it shows the like experience. You can't underestimate how important that is. And yes, he's making it national debut, but just having him meant that Scott McTominay had a bit more confidence to be able to play a role that's totally alien to him. You know, you can't tell me that having a really experienced head there didn't sort of help him. And kind of in the sort of Slovakia and the Czech Republic games, it was he kind of played more of a almost like a right back. They almost went to a back 4, didn't they, when they had the ball, and that let O'Donnell push up further.
That was the thing that disappointed me against Israel, is like we didn't. So we had O'Donnell and Robertson, who were the reason we had the 3 at the back was so these 2 could push on, and they didn't seem to didn't get forward at all. And like, and I said before, like every time Robertson gets forward, he checked back. You know, and like, so if you're Stephen O'Donnell, right, and you're playing on the right hand side, and you look over and you've got Champions League winning, Premier League winning, you know, Andrew Robertson on the other side, and he's the captain, right? So the team take the lead from the captain.
Oh yeah.
And that's what happened. So O'Donnell wasn't getting forward. O'Donnell wasn't pushing forward. O'Donnell wasn't taking men on because his captain wasn't doing it. You know, and the whole team like take their cue from him. And and when he wasn't playing against the Czech Republic and McGinn was leading the team, then you know the whole attitude was different. Now I'm not saying that Andrew Robertson's a bad player, right? And you know I'm not saying but I just screaming at him every time we got the ball. I was like, here it goes, backwards. Yeah, we'd have the ball on the edge of their 18-yard box, and the next thing you know, Marshall's got it. I'm like, but what's happening? You know, and it was. But as I say, that they're small. They're small. Yeah, I don't really even remember that game, other than the fact that you know when McLean put that pen. And I have to say, shocker that went under the keeper. That they were 4 absolutely phenomenal penalties, and I will call out not Kenny McLean who scored the winner, which was just amazing, but I'll call out Lawrence Shanklin right now. Up until Lawrence Shanklin has played 4 games or 3 or 4 games in the Premier League, right? His entire career has been spent in the lower leagues of Scottish football. He came on as a substitute for his 3rd cap, right, against Israel. He took the 4th penalty. The referee stopped him. Then went on, had a word with the goalie, moved the ball. The pressure that had been on that lad, and he I think his was the best kick of the lot. Not because of, all other than McGinn, the rest, they were all immaculate penalties. But the pressure on that lad was just unbelievable. Given that his experience and the level that he plays football at, to step up and hit a kick like that under that pressure, then I think that was absolutely outstanding. Roll on November, I say. Okay, so I'm obviously on cloud nine and think Scotland have had an absolutely amazing sort of international week. So how have England got on, James?
Well, so I want to put a pin in everything you said, like in your last sort of part when you were talking about players not playing, sort of going forward with the ball and being defensive and defensive minded. I want to put a pin in that and come back to that a bit later because that's something that we'll come back to. But at the same time as sort of Scotland's sort of historic penalty shootout win, England basically put out a very sort of like new team against let's be honest, a second choice, a very weakened Wales team as well. And after sort of like a slightly kind of like stuttering first half performance, they actually played some really, really good football and came away with a deserved sort of 3-0 win. Yeah. Goals for sort of Calvert-Lewin, who we mentioned, sort of like could have a good goal scoring start. Conor Cody hit like a beautiful half volley to get himself sort of his first sort of shot on target that he's had in the last sort of 2 seasons of his football career. And then Danny Ings got a really good poacher's sort of like overhead kick. And it seemed like there's so many positives come out of that game. Jack Grealish seemed to have made the breakthrough to an international kind of like standard of basically being able to get the ball and turn and run at players. Calvert-Lewin got his goal. Conor Cody looked a bit like Considine did. He looked like a steady and sort of influence in sort of the centre backs, with sort of Tyrone Mings and Michael Keane. It was Michael Keane and Gomez who started, I think it was. Yeah. It's kind of like it seemed to work. It seemed to be a system that kind of worked. Playing sort of the Phillips and Winks inside midfield gave them sort of like a passing kind of game that kind of like they got in each other's way a little bit. It took a little bit of time to sort themselves out, with Cody also likes to play the ball out the back, but there was a lot of positives to come from the game. Saka from Arsenal had a really good game on the left wing. Yeah. And it seemed to be like there were so many positives and I mentioned so before on our last podcast, I was saying how there was a massive sort of wave of goodwill that came around in the 2018 World Cup, and England kind of like threw caution to the wind and scored a whole bunch of goals in the qualifying sort of campaign. And this performance against Wales was exactly what I was kind of expecting when we saw, like, let's be honest, the new players kind of coming into the team. Yeah. Sort of Grealish getting a game, Harvey Barnes came off the bench and did well as well. I mean, it just seemed like a really kind of positive result for England. Wales kind of did all right. They were slightly off the pace, and to be honest, they deserved like a 3-0 kind of defeat, unfortunately for them.
But it really was a really weakened Wales team, though.
Oh, it was, yeah. But from England, you were very, very happy with the kind of result and the performance. To be honest, once they kind of got going, and then a kind of similar thing happened against Belgium as well. Belgium, let's not beat around the bush, is the best team in the world according to the FIFA rankings. Yeah. Whatever the FIFA rankings are worth, we've all kind of laughed at them over the years.
Well, England are the 4th best team in the world, apparently.
Oh yeah, well, deservedly, yes. Like I always say, the FIFA rankings mean everything. Yes. But basically England kind of like we do, kind of struggled to get the ball back, and there was the kind of slightly bizarre sort of situation of England choosing to play with 3 right backs in the team, with the return of Kyle Walker to the England team. The absolutely outstanding sort of Trent Alexander-Armstrong, and then Kieran Trippier playing on the left hand side, and it kind of worked because so Belgium had a very, very strong on the right hand side, and Meunier, isn't it, who plays on the right, front right hand side for Belgium, and Kevin De Bruyne ran the game for a little bit, but England kind of stuck in there, and the penalty was rather disappointing. Sort of the goal down, but once they kind of like got into the rhythm, it was a good performance, really. And it was a kind of performance we haven't seen. Well, we saw maybe against Spain but that was more of an attacking performance. This was when England beat Spain, sort of were 3-0 up against Spain and sort of won 3-2. This was like a proper. It seemed like the kind of performance you'd want to see from England in a sort of a latter stage of a tournament kind of game of a tournament, and sort of playing a team that are better.